You wake up, check your phone, scroll through your feed, and see men who seem to have it all together: the cars, the body, the lifestyle, the success. And you tell yourself, they must have something I don't. You think they wake up with fire in their chest every morning, with motivation pouring through their veins. But that's the first lie that keeps you stuck. Winners don't wake up motivated. They wake up like everyone else, tired, distracted, sometimes even doubtful. The difference is they've built a habit of ignoring how they feel. While you're still waiting for the right mood to start your day, they've already finished their first victory. The biggest scam modern men have been sold is this: that motivation is a requirement for success. It's not. It's an illusion created by lazy people to justify inaction. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are temporary. They come and go like weather. One day you feel unstoppable. The next you feel broken. If your actions depend on feelings, you'll live your life like a slave to your own emotions. Winners know this truth early. They understand that what separates men who win from men who wishes simple consistency when it's hardest to care. Think about it. The man who gets up to train at 5 a.m. doesn't do it because he feels amazing. He does it because he said he would. The man who builds his business doesn't do it because he's inspired every morning. He does it because there's no other option. The difference between the successful and the stagnant isn't energy, talent, or even intelligence. It's decision. The decision to move. Regardless of mood, let me tell you something uncomfortable. If you only act when you feel like it, you're already losing. You'll never build anything that lasts because your feelings will betray you every time. One bad day, one rejection, one failure, and you'll fold. Winners have the same bad days, the same doubts, but they've trained themselves to push through it. They don't wait for a spark, they become the spark. It's not glamorous. It's not cinematic. Most of winning looks boring. Most of greatness happens when nobody's watching. Those early mornings when you drag yourself out of bed, when the world is quiet and every part of you screams to stay comfortable, that's where strength is born. Every rep when you're exhausted, every hour you put in when no one believes in you, every small, disciplined act, that's motivation replaced by momentum, and that's the key: momentum. Motivation is emotional energy, momentum is physical proof. Once you start moving, once you take that first uncomfortable step, your body and mind begin to align. Suddenly, you don't need a motivational quote, you just need to keep going. Momentum builds results, and results build belief. That's the hidden engine behind every winner's success. Look at any champion, any self-made man, and ask him about motivation. He'll laugh. He'll tell you motivation is for amateurs. Professionals show up regardless, because winners know that action itself creates motivation. You move first, and the feeling follows. Most people have it backwards. They wait to feel good before they act, not realizing that the only way to feel good is to act. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't ask yourself how you feel. Ask yourself what you're willing to do about it. Winners act out of commitment, not emotion. They train their minds to obey, not negotiate. Every time you give in to comfort, you teach your mind weakness. Every time you take action when you don't feel like it, you forge strength. Motivation fades. Excuses multiply. But discipline rewires your entire identity. You start to see yourself differently. You start to trust yourself again. You start realizing that no one is coming to save you, that the world doesn't owe you a good day or a lucky break. The only thing you control is what you do next. Winners don't wait for the perfect time. They create it. They don't pray for the right mindset. They build it through repetition, because when you stop waiting to feel ready, life stops waiting to reward you. You want to know what makes men great? It's not talent, it's not luck. It's the quiet, unshakable power of routine. The world celebrates the big moments, the trophies, the fame, the highlight reels. But what no one sees are the thousands of small, ordinary days stacked behind them. Days when winners did the same boring, disciplined work while everyone else was chasing excitement. Routine is the bridge between who you are and who you're trying to become. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting. It's repetitive, even painful at times. But that's the beauty of it. It doesn't care about how you feel. It just works. Every successful man you admire has built a life around structure. He wakes up at the same time. He trains even when his body aches. He plans his day like a soldier preparing for battle. Not because he's obsessed with control, but because he understands that chaos destroys focus. The man without a routine becomes a victim of randomness. Every day becomes a coin toss between productivity and distraction. Winners eliminate that uncertainty. They create systems that carry them forward even when motivation disappears. Imagine waking up and not having to negotiate with yourself about what needs to be done. You just do it. No debate, no hesitation. That's what routine gives you: freedom from the endless battle between desire and discipline. Because when your habits are strong, you don't need to feel inspired to take action. You move automatically. You've trained your body and mind to act like a machine of purpose. It's easy to envy successful men, to assume they're built differently. But they're not. They've simply built better systems. They've repeated the right actions for so long that success became inevitable. Routine is like compound interest for your life: small, consistent deposits that grow into something extraordinary. The gym session you didn't skip, the book you read instead of scrolling, the extra hour of work when you were tired. Each of those decisions adds up. And one day, while everyone else is wondering how you got so far ahead, you'll know exactly how. But here's the truth: building routine isn't exciting at first. It's uncomfortable. Your brain will fight it. Your emotions will resist. You'll crave the old chaos, the distractions, the ease of drifting. That's the trap that destroys men. They crave freedom but reject structure, not realizing that structure is freedom. Discipline doesn't cage you. It liberates you from weakness, from indecision, from the daily anxiety of not knowing who you are or what you're doing. The man without routine wakes up every morning lost. He wastes hours deciding what to do. He checks his phone. He procrastinates, he overthinks. His day slips through his fingers like water. Then he tells himself he'll do better tomorrow. But tomorrow looks the same, because he's not fighting laziness, he's fighting his lack of systems. Winners understand this. That's why they live like clockwork. Every hour has intention. Every action has purpose. And that consistency compounds into mastery. You see, routine doesn't just build results, it builds identity. Every time you follow through on your schedule, you send a signal to your brain: I'm the kind of man who does what he says. And that identity becomes addictive. You start respecting yourself. You stop breaking promises to yourself. And once a man starts keeping his own word, the world starts keeping its word to him. Opportunities appear, confidence grows. The chaos of life starts to bend around his will, but make no mistake, this isn't easy. The first few weeks of building routine are brutal. You'll wake up tired. You'll want to skip. You'll tell yourself you deserve a break. And that's the moment that separates the ordinary from the exceptional. Because once you push through that resistance, something changes inside you. You begin to crave order. You begin to find peace and discipline. And eventually, what once felt like effort becomes second nature. Winners understand that consistency is power. You don't become strong by lifting once. You become strong by showing up every day. You don't become wise by reading once. You become wise by feeding your mind daily. The man who sticks to his routine when he doesn't feel like it becomes unstoppable because he's trained himself to act beyond emotion. That's how warriors are made, not through bursts of passion, but through years of repetition. The truth is, most men don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they never build systems to protect their strength. Routine is your armor against laziness, your defense against distraction, your structure against chaos. It's what keeps you standing tall when life tries to knock you down. Once you understand that, you stop chasing motivation and start chasing mastery. Every man feels it, the noise inside, the emotional storm that never stops: doubt, fear, fatigue, laziness, excuses whispering like static in your mind. You wake up, and before your feet even hit the floor, your emotions are already negotiating with you. You're tired, take a break. You've earned a rest. It's fine to skip today. Most men listen. They let their emotions run the show. But winners, real winners, they hear those same voices and they move anyway. That's the difference. Not talent, not luck, not some secret advantage. It's control. Control over the inner chaos that destroys most men before they even begin. You see, emotions are liars. They'll make you believe you're broken when you're just uncomfortable. They'll convince you to stop right before your biggest breakthrough. Emotions don't care about your goals, your vision, or your legacy. They only care about comfort. And if you live your life obeying comfort, you'll never achieve anything that requires discomfort, which is everything worth having. Winners understand that emotions are signals, no commands. They can feel fear, but they don't kneel to it. They can feel pain, but they don't let it dictate their decisions. They use emotion as information, not instruction. Think about soldiers in war. Do you think they feel brave every time they step into battle? Of course not. They're terrified. But courage isn't the absence of fear, it's movement despite it. The same rule applies to success. Winners don't need to feel ready. They just need to act. They've trained their minds to separate feelings from execution. They don't care if they're tired, unmotivated, angry, or afraid. They do the work anyway because the mission doesn't change just because their mood does. This is what separates the ordinary from the elite. The ordinary man allows emotion to guide his behavior. The elite man uses behavior to guide his emotion. He understands that action creates momentum, and momentum creates emotion. When you act first, your mind catches up later. That's why a winner can have the worst day of his life and still execute. Because his emotions are passengers, not drivers. Most men never master this. They let one bad feeling ruin an entire day. They let one rough morning turn into a wasted week. They drown themselves in comfort, hoping the emotion will fade on its own. But it doesn't, it grows. Because every time you obey your weakness, you reinforce it. Every time you surrender to emotion, you teach your mind that your feelings are stronger than your will. Winners do the opposite. They take that emotion, the anger, the sadness, the frustration, and channel it. They turn it into energy. They make it their ally. You can't always control how you feel, but you can always control what you do. That's the essence of power. That's what separates a man who leads from a man who follows. Winners don't wait for the right mood to take action. They build the kind of character that acts no matter the mood. Because life doesn't reward how you feel, it rewards what you do. When you start operating like that, everything changes. Suddenly, failure doesn't scare you because you realize it's just feedback. Pain doesn't stop you because you understand it's part of growth. Fatigue doesn't break you because you've built the muscle of doing hard things when you least want to. That's when you become dangerous, when nothing external or internal can dictate your moves. It's easy to post quotes online about discipline and mental toughness. It's much harder to live them when life hits back. But that's exactly when execution matters most. The man who trains his body when it's sore, who works when his mind screams to rest, who keeps his word when it's inconvenient, that man becomes unstoppable. Because he's no longer a slave to emotion. He's become its master, and here's the truth no one wants to admit: your emotions will never align perfectly with your goals. You'll never feel 100% ready. You'll never feel like it's the perfect day to start. That's why execution is everything. Winners move through the storm. They don't wait for the clouds to clear. They understand that success is built in the moments when no one feels like working, but someone still does. That someone is always the winner. The men you admire, the athletes, the entrepreneurs, the leaders, they've all felt the same things you feel. They just didn't let those feelings decide their fate. They felt the fear, the exhaustion, the doubt, and they acted anyway. And that's the secret you've been missing. You don't need to eliminate emotion to succeed. You just need to out-execute it. Pain is life's most honest teacher. It doesn't care about your comfort, your excuses, or your feelings. It doesn't care who you think you are. Pain exposes you. It strips away the illusions, the lies you tell yourself, and shows you exactly what you're made of. Every man says he wants to be strong, but strength doesn't come from success. It comes from struggle. The truth is, every great man has walked through pain deeper than most people could endure. And while others ran from it, he leaned in. Because he understood that pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. When you feel pain, it's not life trying to destroy you. It's life asking you a question: how bad do you want it? Most men fail that test. They see pain and retreat. They feel discomfort and quit. They crave growth but avoid the process that creates it. They'll do anything to stay comfortable, and that's why they stay ordinary. Winners see pain differently. They see it as a forge, a place where the weak are burned away and the strong are refined. Every setback, every heartbreak, every failure becomes another layer of armor. There's a reason the word discipline is rooted in the word disciple. It means you've chosen to learn even through suffering. Pain teaches you discipline better than comfort ever could. When you're tired, when you're doubting yourself, when the world feels heavy, that's when your character is being built. You either crumble or you get carved into something harder, sharper, unstoppable. The man who learns to endure pain becomes immune to mediocrity. Think about it, the gym hurts. Building a business hurts. Waking up early, sacrificing pleasure, saying no to distraction, it all hurts. But that's the exact pain that separates you from the 99% who can't handle it. Pain is a filter. It decides who deserves greatness and who doesn't. Every time you push through discomfort, you earn access to a level of life most men will never touch. And once you start seeing pain as progress, you stop fearing it. You start seeking it. Because you realize that the more you endure, the more capable you become. Most people spend their lives running from pain, chasing comfort like it's happiness. But comfort is a liar. It promises peace, but delivers regret. Every comfortable choice you make today becomes a painful consequence tomorrow. Every painful choice you make today becomes a powerful life tomorrow. That's the trade. You can't escape it. You can only choose when to pay. Winners pay up front in sweat, in effort, in sacrifice so they can live free later. The weak pay later in regret, in failure, in what-ifs. When life hits you hard, you have two options: break or build. The ordinary man breaks and blames the world. The winner builds himself stronger. He uses pain as feedback, as fuel. He doesn't ask, why is this happening to me? He asks, what is this teaching me? That one shift in mindset transforms pain from something you fear into something you master. Because every scar tells a story of a time when life tried to break you, and you refuse to fold. The truth is, pain never leaves your life. It just changes shape. If you avoid the pain of discipline, you'll live with the pain of regret. If you avoid the pain of effort, you'll live with the pain of failure. You can't escape pain, but you can choose the type that makes you stronger. Winners embrace this. They don't wish for easy days, they wish for strength to handle hard ones. They understand that suffering gives life its meaning. When you're in pain, you see things clearly. You learn who your real friends are, who you can trust, what truly matters. Pain cuts through the noise. It humbles you, sharpens you, purifies you. It's not your enemy, it's your evolution. The strongest men alive have been through storms that would destroy most people. They didn't just survive, they adapted. They grew sharper. They became the kind of men who don't flinch at difficulty because they've already been through worse. You want confidence, you want power, you want respect. Earn it through pain. Every time you face something hard and refuse to quit, you grow a little stronger, and that strength compounds. One day, what once broke you will feel like nothing. What once scared you will barely move your pulse. That's how you know you've evolved, when the pain that used to destroy you becomes the fuel that drives you. The secret is this: pain doesn't stop when you reach success. It just changes form. The challenges get bigger, the pressure grows heavier, but so do you. That's why winners never wish for comfort, they wish for growth. Because they know that without pain, there is no greatness. Pain is proof that you're alive, that you're in the fight, that you're still moving forward when others have already given up. There was a time when men had to fight to survive, when every day demanded strength, hunger, awareness, and purpose. But now men are comfortable, too comfortable. We live in a world where everything is easy, and that ease is exactly what's killing us. The modern man is surrounded by comfort, warm beds, endless entertainment, instant gratification. But every layer of convenience takes away a layer of power. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you lose a piece of your edge. The warrior spirit that built empires, conquered mountains, and endured storms is dying not from war, but from comfort. You don't even have to move anymore. Food comes to your door. Entertainment fits in your pocket. Validation is one post away. You can scroll for hours and your brain thinks it's achieving something, but it's not. You're feeding the illusion of progress while your real life stays exactly the same. You're not tired because you're working hard. You're tired because you're overstimulated, over-effed, and under-challenged. That's why so many men feel lost. You're living in a cage built of comfort, and you don't even see the bars. Comfort has become the most dangerous addiction of our generation. It's invisible, seductive, and deadly. Because comfort doesn't just make you lazy, it makes you weak. It teaches you to avoid struggle, to run from resistance, to escape reality instead of conquering it. Every time you choose the couch over the grind, you reinforce the habit of quitting. And the cruel thing about comfort is that it feels good now but destroys you later. Pain works the opposite way. It hurts now, but builds you into something powerful. The truth is, no man becomes great in comfort. Every legend you've ever admired, every champion, every warrior, every king came from hardship. They were built in pressure, not peace. They had to fight for what they wanted. And in that fight, they discovered who they really were. But modern men, we've forgotten that fight. We've replaced purpose with pleasure. We chase dopamine, not dominance. We scroll instead of study, we talk instead of act, we dream instead of do. And we wonder why we feel empty. Because deep down, every man knows he's built for more than comfort. He's built for conquest, but here's the thing about comfort, it never stops demanding more of you. The more you give in, the softer you become. The softer you become, the less capable you are. And the less capable you are, the more life starts to hurt. That's the paradox. The man who avoids discomfort ends up suffering the most. Because comfort doesn't eliminate pain, it just delays it. You can avoid the gym, but you'll face the pain of a weak body. You can avoid discipline, but you'll face the pain of regret. You can avoid challenge, but you'll face the pain of a wasted life. Either way, pain comes for you. The only choice you have is whether you suffer now for growth or later for failure. You have to start rejecting comfort on purpose. Not because pain is fun, but because it keeps you sharp. Cold showers, early mornings, hard work, silence, they reconnect you to reality. They remind you that life isn't meant to be easy. The moment you start to embrace discomfort, you wake up. You start to feel alive again. You start to earn yourself respect back. Because nothing kills a man's confidence faster than knowing he's living below his potential. And nothing restores it faster than proving to himself that he can suffer and still move forward. Comfort makes you soft, but struggle makes you strong. Look at lions in the wild, hungry, alert, deadly. Now look at lions in cages, fat, bored, harmless. That's the modern man. You've been tamed by technology, sedated by entertainment, distracted by cheap pleasures. The world doesn't want you strong, it wants you docile. Because strong men are hard to control. But you have a choice. You can remain a prisoner to comfort, or you can become dangerous again. When you start to say no to comfort, the world changes. You stop chasing fake highs and start building real purpose. You stop living for approval and start living for mastery. You stop needing easy days because you've learned to thrive on hard ones. And that's when you reclaim your power. Because deep down, every man wants to feel alive, to feel useful, to feel dangerous. That's not toxic, that's natural. That's what you were designed for. But the longer you live in comfort, the harder it becomes to break free. The habits tighten around you like chains. That's why you must act now. Step into discomfort before it swallows you whole. Start small, wake up earlier. Face cold, embrace hunger, chase challenge. Each time you reject comfort, you take back control from the world that wants to weaken you. Because comfort might make you feel safe, but safety is an illusion. Growth only happens in danger. Power only returns through resistance. And if you want to live a life that means something, you must be willing to walk away from everything that makes you soft. There's one rule that every winner lives by, whether he's an athlete, an entrepreneur, or a soldier, he acts. Not talks, not plans, not waits, he acts. Because in the end, it's not the dreamers who win, it's the doers. The world is full of men who say, one day I'll start, one day I'll change, one day I'll become great, but one day never comes. They spend their entire lives preparing, thinking, talking, and die with potential still inside them. Winners understand that potential means nothing without execution. It's action that separates the men who get results from the men who only imagine them. You can have all the information in the world, but if you don't move, it's worthless. You can study success, memorize every motivational quote, plan every detail, but if you don't take that first step, you're no different from the man who never tried. Action is the great divider. It's the moment where talk ends and truth begins. And the truth is, most men never move because they're scared. Scared to fail, scared to look foolish, scared to start small. But winners understand that failure is part of the path. You fall, you adjust, you rise again. Every action, even the wrong one, teaches you more than endless thinking ever will. The mind loves to trick you into overthinking. It tells you to wait until you're ready, until it's perfect, until you feel confident. But winners know perfection is the enemy of progress. There's no perfect time. There's no ideal setup. You're never going to feel completely ready. You just start where you are with what you have and figure it out along the way. That's the winner's code. Act now, refine later. Every day you delay is a day you'll never get back. Time doesn't pause for indecision. It moves with or without you. Look around at every man who's ahead of you, the ones living the life you want. They're not smarter than you. They're not luckier. They simply acted faster. They moved when you hesitated. They took the same fear, the same doubt, and used it as fuel. They understood that motion creates confidence, not the other way around. The moment you start taking consistent action, you start building belief. You stop needing external validation because your results become your proof. But here's the thing, action isn't just about doing random things. It's about doing the right things consistently. Winners are obsessed with momentum. They know that once you start moving, even in small steps, you awaken a part of yourself that was asleep. You start to feel power returning. You begin to trust yourself again. And once that switch flips, everything changes. Because movement builds mastery, and mastery builds freedom. The problem is, most men want guarantees. They want to know the outcome before they start. But winners understand there's no such thing as certainty, only commitment. You commit to the process, not the result. You act, you adapt, and through that you evolve. Every failure becomes data. Every mistake becomes progress. That's why winners move fast. They understand that waiting for perfect conditions is just another form of fear. Action is how you kill fear before it kills your ambition. You can think about success all day, but thought without action is just fantasy. Winners know that motion is meaning. Every day you move forward, even 1 inch, you're rewriting your story. The man who acts once a day will always surpass the man who plans 10 times a day but never moves. The man who tries, fails, and learns will always outgrow the man who dreams but doubts. Because the universe doesn't reward intention, it rewards execution. The reason most people never reach their goals is because they confuse business with progress. They think about change, talk about it, even convince themselves they're preparing for it. But all they're doing is waiting for permission from the world, from their peers, from their own fear. Winners don't wait for permission. They give it to themselves. They understand that nobody is coming to save them. Nobody is coming to hand them success. The only way forward is through relentless, imperfect action. Action is what turns pain into strength, knowledge into power, and time into achievement. Every time you act, you plant a seed. You might not see results immediately, but they're growing beneath the surface. That's why winners never stop moving even when they don't see progress. They trust the process. They know that consistency compounds, that each day of execution builds upon the last until one day the results are undeniable. When you start living by action, everything else aligns. Your confidence grows because you're proving yourself through results. Your focus sharpens because your energy has direction. Your purpose becomes clear because you're moving towards something real. Action cuts through the noise of overthinking and gives you clarity that no amount of thinking ever could. In the end, the difference between a loser and a winner isn't talent, intelligence, or luck. It's movement. The loser waits for motivation, the winner acts. The loser looks for signs, the winner creates them. The loser talks about dreams, the winner builds them brick by brick through effort, consistency, and execution. Action over everything, that's the law of winners. At the end of the day, every speech, every book, every motivational clip you've ever heard boils down to one truth: winners do what others only talk about. They don't wait for the perfect mood, the perfect plan, or the perfect timing. They just move. Because the moment you act, you separate yourself from 99% of people who never will. The world rewards action, not potential. It rewards the man who's willing to show up tired, broken, unmotivated, and still do the work. That's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary, not talent, not opportunity, but relentless discipline. You can sit there for another year, thinking, planning, convincing yourself that tomorrow you'll start. Or you can stand up today and take control. Winners don't waste energy debating with themselves. They decide once and move with conviction. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to begin. Because once you begin, momentum takes over. And that's when life starts shifting. The truth is, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you greatness. Every single win, every piece of respect, every ounce of freedom must be earned through discipline, sacrifice, and the courage to keep going when it's not convenient. That's the reality winners live by. So ask yourself, how much longer will you wait to become who you're supposed to be? How many more days will you waste hoping for motivation to appear? Winners don't hope, they build. They take pain and turn it into fuel. They turn fear into action. They turn moments into milestones. The time to move is now. Because the truth is brutal but simple. Either you act or you disappear. Winners don't feel like it, they just do it. And that's why at the end of every story, it's their names the world remembers.